Bit of a stinker at Marvel, hey, but we got a podcast for you, so here you go.
For number 10, there it is. Ben Brown hits double figures.
Isn't everyone kind of third on the ladder right now?
No, it's flag mantle. This is the new thing. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Further North, not a Fremantle podcast.
We were just debating if flag mantle is cool or not, and I think it's lame.
I think
Marnie
it's
thinks
cool, and I think it's very real. So
Marnie's trying to brag they're third on the ladder, but I think like if 13th place wins a game, they're also probably third on the ladder right now with how close the
don't
league
diss flag mantle like that. I'm taking that personally.
Well, instead of talking about Fremantle, how about we talk about North Melbourne?
It's a less fun topic after yesterday's game.
Yeah. We don't quite have the pep in our step today, everybody. Mainly because the game was very boring.
It was probably, and I said this to you just before we jumped on air, I thought yesterday's game was probably one of our most disappointing performances of the season. I think
Maybe with the new expectation.
Yeah, and I just think a 17-point margin flattered us, to be honest. I think the Dogs kind of won, like dominated, and they really played the game on their terms for, just about every quarter, especially after quarter time at the very least. So that was really disappointing. But look, I think there's still some positives we can draw from it. Obviously, it was a very disappointing performance and it was very dominant display by the Dogs. So to still keep it to within 3 goals is wildly different to, I think, what would have happened if we played this game before the bye.
Yes.
And I think there was some very good individual performances there and some really solid team performances as well, which we'll touch on later on in the show. But I just think it was flat. Like, that's sort of the only way I can really describe yesterday's game. No atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there. I had to work, but you were there. Tell me what the ground was like, because on the broadcast, I guess, it just sounded like every game.
Flat as attack.
Yeah.
Flat as attack. And I think, look, I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with Marvel per se.
No, of course it doesn't.
Because, we played Collingwood there 2 weeks ago and the energy in there was just electrifying from both sides. And then we played the D's last week and there was 29,000 at the game last week at the MCG. Yesterday there was 27,000. It honestly felt like last week there was 50,000 and yesterday there was 10,000.
Yeah.
Like from both sides, it was really flat. It was a bit of a weird game. Even in the first quarter, it was pretty even. It was pretty lively, but I just think it lacked intensity from the word go, and that was sort of proof was in the pudding as the game went on for us.
Yeah, from what I could tell, I mean, the first and last quarter was sort of kind of fun on our end. In the middle of the game, it was just very one-dimensional, it's like a Coldplay song. It's kind of exactly what it is, and it doesn't impress you, but it's not rubbish. It's just kind of there.
Oh, okay. No disrespect to Coldplay. If you're listening, Chris Martin.
Sorry, Chris. I apologise. He's a lot more successful than I'm going to be. I just think, have you ever heard someone say Coldplay is their favourite band? I mean, that's
plenty of people.
Oh, God, no, stop that.
Do you know what I would love to hear more often, though?
Yeah.
Is Viva La Vida. Do you know why?
Whose goal song is it?
It's Nick Larkey's goal song.
That's why I haven't heard it recently. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I miss it. I miss you, Coldplay.
We're taking shots at Nick Larkey too. God, this podcast.
Well, let's just dive straight into it.
Okay.
Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about Nick Larkey.
Okay. We're going to talk about the forward line and everything first and how things went.
Yeah, I'm just taking over. I just don't think it's worth touching on the game. It was what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really much to dissect in terms of the overall performance. I think we could probably do it as we break down.
I did write a note though about the game that it felt if it was like a lesser version of last week. Like, the first quarter, it felt quite even and the game had some life in it. Like obviously Paul Curtis and Zerha in front of goal in the first. But we could never really like stop the Dogs doing anything and we looked rubbish out of the middle.
Yeah.
But, we kind of kept it even. The second and third quarter, it felt like the Dogs were just on top with everything and just chipped away and got a slow lead. We didn't get dominated or anything like that. It didn't feel like, and obviously they weren't piling it on the scoreboard like we've seen in the past, but sort of set us up for a mini little comeback in the fourth, but
And we did have our chances in the fourth. That's really fair enough. I think our intensity around the ground in terms of our pressure was pretty good, and we won the tackling count around the ground.
Yeah, the pressure was high. I think they showed on the broadcast that our pressure was elite levels.
Great, we love that.
In the first, but it didn't feel like we dropped off too much from that.
No, it just felt like the Dogs really took control of the game after quarter time. They were winning everything out of the centre, and I mean, Rory Lobb in defence was a master stroke from Bevo, and he absolutely killed us.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we were just sort of kicking everything his way. So unfortunately it just wasn't meant to be. And I think after the last month we've been on such a high, so to sort of I think everyone probably expected us to come out and sort of just really challenge the Dogs. And despite the even first quarter and the comeback in the last, I don't really think we were ever a chance after quarter time.
No, I agree. It didn't feel like we had enough to sort of come back. And as good as it was to see that there was a bit of a fight back in the fourth, it definitely wasn't maybe as good as people are trying to make it feel like, another comeback. Like I've heard some people be like, another comeback. You know, we fought to the end.
Well, that is great. That is great.
Exactly. But, you know, I mean, 17 points, I think it was in the end, 60 to 77.
I think that flattered us a lot.
It flattered us a lot. And I think it also, 17 points isn't enough to be like, we almost sort of came back. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, it's 3 goals. Like that's probably the most, like that's us for a whole quarter most of the time. So look, it's not discrediting the effort. I think the one thing we can say that's positive is there's a baseline effort at this club now that like a bare minimum that we're always hitting. Yeah. So we've closed the gap on the ceiling to the floor, but
still a while to go.
Let's not claim we made a comeback. I think, you know, we came back, we scored more points than them in the last quarter. Yeah. But I think that's all you can say. I don't think you can say we made a comeback. So anyway, forward line, Nick Larkey. Can I, my observation on Nick Larkey.
Go for it.
As poor as he's maybe been the last couple of weeks, I don't think we did him any favours with our forward 50 entry. That was textbook North Melbourne from 3 months ago, where the only way it goes in our 50, unless Jesus kicking the ball, was let's see if we can bounce it off the roof and it deflects to one of our players. Now, the amount of times, I guess, I don't know if you could see this in the stadium as much, but on the broadcast, they pointed it out that Nick Larkey was finding a lot of pockets of space out the back and things like that, and we just never, we'd get the ball and they'd stop.
Well, we just don't lower the eyes.
No, but they had a chance to go quick as well and get Larkey in more of a one-on-one.
Too slow.
And by the time they actually made a decision, Larkey was covered by 3 blokes.
Yeah, and I think with Larkey, I feel like and I've said this about a couple of players, and it's not an ideal situation to be in, but I feel like he's become a bit of a confidence player at the moment. Yeah. There was a couple instances, and look, umpiring is umpiring, but there was a couple instances in the first quarter where he was completely manhandled and he didn't get a free kick, and he probably should have. And, you know, that already is going to sort of kill his confidence, and then we just can't seem to lower the eyes and find him where he is creating space. He's such a hard worker, and you're right. We don't really do anything to benefit him when going into the
But look at the games
50.
when we're on though. Like the reason he kicks bags, you remember, like think about every time he's kicked 7, 9, whatever, even 5. We're hitting his chest. Yeah. And we're getting him on the lead. Yeah. Because he can't be stopped. If we're on the lead and you put the kick in his vicinity, he'll get the ball. Yeah.
And it sort of, despite the fact that it was under the roof, it just kind of felt like a bit of a grubby match. Yeah. And the fact that, you know, all of our goals in the first quarter came from our small forwards and sort of them just being, you know, buzzing around and sort of just opportunistic, sort of opportunistic goals rather than us actually kicking it to, you know, the tall targets and them going back and slotting it. So didn't really do him any favours. The Rory Lobb factor also didn't really help. I mean, Roy Lobb was just far and away one of the best players for the Dogs, and he was fantastic down back. I also just think that, we don't do him any favours. No,
absolutely. I thought Zerha looked better, like okay as well.
He's had a really good month. Zerha.
I think him and Curtis looked good. It's good to see when Larkey isn't doing anything that other people can step up to.
Paul Curtis's first quarter was actually off the charts. It's one of the best quarters I've seen him play. Not just he obviously kicked the most incredible goal from the boundary line, but it was also just his work rate, the way he was pushing up the ground, his tackling pressure, like all of it was just sensational.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, a criticism of our forward line, and this I'm going to sound like a broken record a bit. I think I'm over Toby Pink. I just don't. I know we're making excuses for him like we did for other players, where you know, but he did this one thing that was okay, and I don't think it's fine. He just doesn't do anything. He got 5 touches, didn't really impact the game at all. If he did get a shot, he'd probably miss it. I'd rather play a smaller forward line, or give someone else a chance than continue with the Toby Pink thing. I think especially in a game like that where the ball was hitting the ground so much, you know. Like Dersma, it would be much better and more exciting and could impact that game more than a Toby Pink. So Toby Pink's fun. I love the Toby Pink chant. And look, Toby Pink being out of the team kills the vibe in Bay 29. I understand that.
Yeah, but you got to have a player in the side for more than just being a gimmick. No
agree.
disrespect to him at all.
No.
You know.
And look, he's done some good things and he's okay, but I think we're seeing Toby Pink's ceiling personally. And I just think, you know, him in the VFL and if we get an injury coming in and backing someone up, I'd be like, okay. But that's sort of what I want to see. I think Toby Pink is a forward. We've had 6 weeks of it, roughly. No,
I tend to agree with you, and I actually think now that there's legitimate cases being made in the VFL to have a replacement. So Tyler Sellers was an emergency yesterday. I know he really didn't offer much when he came in earlier in the year. But he's gone back to the VFL. We've given him an opportunity to sort of, you know, work on his craft and just get a bit more game time in him. Dersmer's obviously the other one. It would be really great to see him back in this side, I think, and get some more games at senior level for him before the end of the year. I think that we obviously lost yesterday, but it was a very, very disappointing performance. And when you really dive deep into the stats, we really just got absolutely killed, to be honest. And so I do think that we are warranted for a few changes this week, and I'd be really happy to bring him back in. See Toby Pink being dropped for, you know, one of Sellers or Dersmer or the like. I think he does offer something. I think, you know, he attracts opposition players. He can bring the ball to ground. I think he does compete and he does what he needs to do, but it's not enough when, you know, Larky's being really well covered. And yes, you've got Zerha and you've got Curtis stepping up. Eddie Ford's been, I mean, I think the new role that he's, had has just been a revelation. But I think Bryn Takel's been excellent as well since he's come into the side. But I do agree with you. I think that it's probably time for him to move on.
Yeah, I think especially with Bryn Teakle down there, I'm not sure why we need him down there as well. Like, you know, if we came into the year thinking our forward line was going to be Toby Pink, Bryn Teakle and Nick Larky, I would have been like, what's happening? You know, and Teakle's been fantastic. He's my favourite player, as we know. And he was really good. Not maybe outstanding or being like one of the best on the ground, but so solid and gives us an out sometimes. His hands are great. He's taking contested marks every week, which was a thing that North Melbourne just does not know how to do. Kicked a goal, backing up, very adequately backing up Jerry in the ruck and everything. So I think he's locked his place in.
I guess the other point with Toby Pink is Griffin Logue's obviously starting to come back through the VFL. So when he comes into the equation, is that when and I know this is going to be a really hotly debated topic, is that when we move Charlie Comben back to the forward line and then Toby Pink steps aside? I don't know. Is that a risk we want to take?
Hayden Court did push forward in the D's game, so maybe they're trialling him.
Don't get me excited like that.
Forward.
Don't get me excited like that, please.
Yeah, you're right. It's too early. It's too early. We need to chill on that one.
I'm still not over the overlap hand pass
God.
from round 24 last year. So anyway, there's options, and I think that and we've said this in the last few weeks, it's a really good problem to have. It's a really good problem to have that we can have these discussions and sort of sit here and say, well, where do we go from here with Toby Pink, and, you know, how does our forward line look? But I do think the three tools has looked better for balance. Also, because it also gives Sherry an opportunity to push forward.
Sherry's kicking goals.
He is, and he's actually taking, you know, he's having a real impact up forward as well. And I think it's having Bryn Teakle in the side to alleviate some of that pressure from Sherry. Yep. So I think it's kind of working for now, but I don't disagree. I mean, yesterday we kicked 4 goals to 3/4 time. And so I think we probably really do need another goal kicking option up forward if Larky just isn't firing.
Yeah, I think Sellers is a good shout as well. Dersmer or Sellers would be the one. I'd probably play Dersmer again. I mean, he's got the talent, and we're playing. He hasn't really played since we've looked like an actual football team.
Yeah,
as well. And I think, you know, other players have, like your Curtis Taylors and Eddie Fords and things like that, are clearly benefiting from us having more of the ball and being more competitive and possessing the ball better. Yeah. So I think he could be able to as well. But if we don't learn how to kick into the forward line to people's leads, then I don't think it matters. I mean, Dersmer might take a hanger every now and then. We know he can.
That's great. But like, you've got to offer more than a hanger once every 5 weeks.
100%. You can't just bank on that. And it still baffles me how we just kick that ball so blindly into our
Yeah.
forward 50. Bailey Scott's the worst at it personally. I think the amount of times I wish, and we'll go to the midfield in a second, but like I wish there was a stat to show you how many times someone kicks around their body without looking.
Yeah.
Because Bailey Scott, that is him every single time. Bailey Scott wasn't bad or anything like that. I'm not trashing on him, but I just noticed so many times in that game where he'll get the ball and panic and just kick it like around the body.
Well, they're all a victim of each other, I think. And they're all like, you know, they all do it. They all see each other do it and they sort of just can't keep themselves composed under pressure. A couple more bits on the forward line before we move on. We won the tackle count around the ground, but the Dogs won the tackle count inside their forward 50, 17-8.
Yes.
So we couldn't even retain the ball. It was just coming out of our forward 50 way too often. And if we had those repeat entries, then the game would have looked a little bit different.
Yeah, the Dogs used the transition very well from our forward line.
Yeah.
We can, and that's our biggest weakness, I think, is any sort of, that's why the Pies won that game in the end, is the transition, and especially when it gets into the corridor against North Melbourne, it's over.
Eddie Ford.
Yes.
Almost took mark of the year. My God, he got up so high.
Yeah.
I think his confidence is just at an all-time high at the moment. I think the role...
If he's flipping people off on the ground, you know he's confident.
Oh, God. But you know what? I mean, it's incredible like how quickly, and I know we've talked about this, but how quickly things can change. I mean, pre-buy, Eddie Ford's either not getting a game or he's the sub. Now he's come in and he's playing this more, he's kind of pushing higher up, he's playing a high half forward, almost pushing into the midfield, and he's creating something. And I think he's been really dynamic, and I said it last week and the week before that. I think he's been great. I also would love to see Curtis Taylor push forward a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got a great set of hands and he's a really great shot on goal.
Yeah.
I think that he should try and find a way to push forward a little bit more often.
If it's not coming down there. That's what I kind of want from Larky as well. This was going to be a point I was going to say about Larky, actually. He needs to find a way to impact the game if he's not getting the ball like that. And I know at the end of the day, if he pushes up the ground to get the ball and then we got no one to kick to, that's also a problem. But like, you know, if he's not getting that ball down there, he got 5 touches yesterday or something like that again, I think. So you got to find a way to do it. Paul Curtis, obviously, you know, we haven't seen him get thrown into the midfield much. Zerha and Curtis, I'm pretty shocked maybe since the bye we haven't seen them in the midfield.
They've both been firing up forward though.
And the midfield's been that good. But like with a lack of Wardlaw, which we'll talk about next, we really needed a bit of grit and size in there, and Curtis or a Zerha, I think would have been a good option. But
that's a great shout. Yeah. All right, let's talk about George.
I miss George Wardlaw.
Yeah, me too.
And I was very emotional on the preview podcast, Marnie, when I found out George Wardlaw was out.
I heard you. I'm listening to the podcast on Friday morning, right, on my walk, and I just, like the pain in your voice, like it actually came through my headphones and I could just feel you, just your heart break.
If I was meant to go to that game, I would have bailed, because George Wardlaw is my favourite person on the planet bar Charlie Comben. And sorry, Charlie, for that. I can't pick between my 2 favourite children. George Wardlaw, our midfield, I don't think it's any coincidence our midfield looked so bad when George Wardlaw was not there.
Yeah.
LDU didn't have his partner. It's like Cunnington and Higgins back in the day, you know. They're a package deal, you know. So I think I no wonder Wardlaw's not there. LDU gets 17 touches or something like that.
Very flat.
Very flat. And I'm not blaming LDU for that. He's been a star recently, but you know, without his partner in crime in there, Simpkin, I think he had an okay game. But,
I thought Simpkin started very well.
Yeah, Simpkin started well, but Wardlaw is, as you've said, the barometer.
Yeah.
And we don't have anyone I know LDU's contested stats are quite good, but if the eye test suggests that no one's as much of a contested beast as George is in this team, and we lacked around Bont took the piss basically in the contest. So
much for coming in under an injury cloud, right?
Yeah. Good
one, Bont.
Good
Thanks.
smoke screen from Bevo
what a
there.
tease.
It sucks because the concussion thing is so harsh. Like, I don't think you should miss. I think the 12-day thing is a bit stupid. I think like miss a game and then retest. I think it's so unfair that a training collision, you're going to miss 2 games. And I said on the preview that, you know, this game, if he misses, I don't think we're going to win anyway. We played pretty well, but I think the Dogs always have our measure. The Suns game next week, it's going to be, if our midfield performs like that, we'll get smashed. The only way North win games is if we dominate out of the midfield. And if George Wardlaw isn't there, I don't think Powell stepped up heaps yesterday. He was probably
Powell's
a player.
had a very underwhelming few weeks despite how well we've been performing across the board. He's probably been the one in the midfield that I've probably been most disappointed with.
But especially with Wardlaw out, you're like, now's your chance to step up. I didn't actually look at the centre bounce attendances for Tom Powell. I can't remember how many he had. I looked for Sheezer when he still had like 8 or something. So they really went with Phillips, LDU, Simpkin for basically the whole time. I'm pretty sure when I did look at the CBAs for the game, they were the only ones in double digits or something like that, or at least like low teens was the next best. So Tom Powell clearly didn't get many centre bounce attendances. Phillips, LDU and Simpkin did most of them. Yeah. And it wasn't working and we didn't change anything. Yeah. So I'm not sure how to feel. I'm willing to write this game off as a bit of a dead rubber, and hopefully we can go again next week against the Suns, who I think we can beat. But without Wardlaw, I'm much more skeptical. I think he's that important to us.
It's really funny, right? It's actually not funny. It's a bit of a problem which we've spoken about on the pod before.
Don't laugh, you'll cry, Marnie.
There was a ball up near where we were sitting, and I think it was the third quarter, and you've got Bont standing next to Will Phillips. And Will Phillips is like half his size. Yeah. And, I think about some of the best teams in the competition and some of their big midfielders. I mean, you've got the Bont, you've got Patrick Cripps at Carlton, you've got Nat Fife.
Yeah, I mean, Petrarca plays above his size too. He's that
and
big.
They're just these huge bodies, and they're tall and they're damaging, and we only have one midfielder like that who's 32 and probably won't play again.
Whoever do you mean, Marnie?
We're not talking about him today. But, Hugh Greenwood 5 years ago, or someone, and I'm not saying it needs to be Hugh Greenwood, obviously.
No, just that archetype.
But it's got to be, it's got to be that big, real hard body. And I think that was, and it's what you just said, Zerha going into the middle was providing that option. I think that was a great move. But then, if you throw Zerha, you can't move Zerha out of the forward line.
Especially when Larky's not doing anything.
Well, Zerha's probably been our best forward in the past month, to be honest. I just don't think it's worth it. And and you can't rely on someone like a Jaden Stevenson to come in and have that same impact.
Can I throw out a shout then? I reckon Eddie Ford in the midfield would be. He's tough, Eddie Ford. He's big
and he goes after his own. He goes after his own ball.
Yeah, he's a thick boy, Eddie. I don't know. He's handsome and he's got some definition, and that's the recipe for the best midfielders. So,
I like that. I like that call for sure.
But he's not gonna get bullied. You know, and he's gonna tackle 100%. And I just think it might be a worth 5 centre bounces a game.
And we all know George Wardlaw is just so valuable to this team, and no one would ever question that. But it really frightens me that we've still got the likes of Sheezel, LDU, even Will Phillips has had a really good couple of weeks. We've still got these players in the side attending centre bounces, and they're just not. They're not getting their hands on the ball. Yeah. And that's quite frightening. And like I said, we all love George and we all miss George, and I can't wait for him to get back. But I actually really thought our midfield was a much better balance than what it looked like yesterday when you take out one player.
Yeah, I think that's just a sign of where we're at, though, to be honest. I mean, as much as we've all been incredibly happy at the resurgence maybe in the last month, we are incredibly reliant on players. And I was talking, yesterday at the barbershop to lots of people about this, and I'm like, Ward, we don't have players to plug in and play if someone goes out as much as other teams do. Yeah. Now, spoiler alert, looking ahead to the off-season with the draft, a lot of people obviously really don't want another midfielder. And as much as I know that it sounds crazy, I think if we get the number 1 pick and don't get Josh Smiley, I think we've done the complete wrong thing, because he's 194 centimetres at 18, inside mid, that Cripper Bont type.
That's exactly what we need.
It's exactly what we need. And I know we've got a lot of midfielders, but if that does force a Powell out or makes a Lazaro never going to get a game, or whoever you want to throw in there, then that's too bad.
You have to keep levelling up.
You have to keep levelling up. And this is the thing. We're going to get a top 3 pick. At best, we finish 16th, right? Yeah. So, but probably not. We're probably going to get a number 1, if not number 2, right? We're going to get a top 3 pick. We need to draft that archetype of player. If we draft a midfielder that's not an inside bull who's at least 190 centimetres, then we've done the complete wrong thing. But we lack so much body around contest. If LDU doesn't win it cleanly, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for us to win the ball out with Wardlaw not there. So
yeah, 100%.
I don't know. A little teaser for the draft, guys. That's who I would be drafting 100%, but we'll talk about that later. But we do lack in that area. If we recruit like a bigger body as well, like a 30-year-old who's got 2-3 years left in them,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what we need. But our midfield lacks that. And with Wardlaw there, I think it showed so much how we do need a big-bodied midfielder who's not going to get pushed around by a Bond or by a
100%.
Cripper. We need that guy in 5 years' time who's going to be that guy.
100% and just really step up. Speaking of stepping up, I really liked Jai Simpkins' first quarter yesterday. I thought he came out, he was there to make a statement. I thought he was good last week, but I thought he was sort of flew under the radar, whereas I think he really stamped his mark on the game. He did fade out as the game went on, but unfortunately that was the case for a lot of players.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to sort of mention him. I thought he really came out with a vengeance. LDU in game 100 was pretty quiet,
Very quiet.
by his standards. He did get a bit of a knock midway through the game, and I don't know if that impacted him at all.
He didn't seem to be,
He looked a bit ginger, but whether that threw him off more than, any of
like
us
Toby
could
Pink,
have
is that what you're
seen.
saying, Marnie?
Yeah, nice.
Nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I just had died. I was like, what's wrong with that? We're fine. Leave us alone.
Yeah, okay, don't take it too personally, Joel. Look, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out later in the week.
I mean, I've got the stat here. Sheasel had the most contested possessions for us with 12. LDU only had 8. And when Harry Sheasel, who's, on the outside is a star, inside should not be his game. That's not where he should be.
Yeah.
We lacked around the ball winning contest everywhere. It's funny because you look at the contested possessions and they're pretty even across the ground, but in the centre bounces and around the stoppages where it really matters, it did look like we got bullied.
Yeah, which is, unfortunately, I think that was sort of the story of the day for North yesterday. I think it's also
28 to 40. That's right, 28 to 40 clearances I've got there as well, which is a big differential.
Yeah, it wasn't. It really wasn't great, and it was also a shame because obviously Zach Fisher was subbed out of the game. No one knows why. It was tweeted that it was a tactical sub, but I think then that radio reported he was injured, and Clarko said that he had a lower
injury,
leg foot
of some sort
complaint. So then obviously Harry Sheasel had to move into defence, and that isn't really what we want to see. I get it in circumstances like yesterday, it worked, but it's something I would like to avoid if we can. Yeah,
Harry Sheasel playing off halfback gave me Vietnam style flashbacks, Marnie. That made me go, oh God, it's round 4 again.
Oh no.
And everything feels bad. It sent me back to a dark place.
No, I don't want you to be in a dark place.
Well, neither do I. So Clarkson, seriously, don't do that again. The last person I want to touch on the midfield, and this is not me trying to stick up for one of my favourite players who maybe is underperforming. I just want to point out, like last week, obviously Dylan Stephens had a good impact, I think, in the last. And I think he was one of the biggest reasons why we made that comeback. Dylan Stephens was pretty quiet when he came on. I just wanted to point out that he had 4 touches and 2 of them were score involvements. 1 was a direct assist.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and he needs to get more touches than that. This is not me going, Dylan Stephens is the best player ever. I'm not trying to do that because we know I like him and I think he's good and everyone else is quite skeptical, which is fair. I only wanted to bring that up because I feel like I said for a long time, if we can get this guy around the ball more with how we're playing now, he can be a really good player for us. And for a team like us yesterday who did nothing but bomb that ball into the 50, when he did get the ball, and he didn't get it enough, but when he did, he lowered his eyes and he hit people.
Yeah.
He had, I can't remember who, was it Paul Curtis? He found open in the 50 late to kick a goal in the last quarter. Maybe it was 84. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he found open players.
Yeah.
And as much as he needed to get more 4 touches in a quarter and a bit of football is not enough.
Yeah.
But I just think he deserves a chance to play a full game, especially when we look like that going into the forward 50.
Yeah.
He is a player I trust by foot. Like a Sheasel.
Yeah.
And getting McKercher back will help that and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, like, 4 touches not enough, but half of those were score involvements and fairly comprehensive, clean score involvements too. So if he can eventually play well enough to get out of the sub role, I think he can be an asset to us because not many of our players like kicking accurately.
I actually think he's been fine. I said I probably wasn't as crash hot on him last week as you were. I thought he was fine yesterday again. I think he's a great sub. I actually think he's a really, really great sub for now. He can inject a bit of pace and a bit of run into the game when we really need it. And I think last week, while his possession for me probably wasn't as clean as I would have liked to have seen, considering how much he was able to get his hands on the ball, he did inject some pace and we kind of did look like we had another dimension because he came in for Toby Pink. And that's what I really liked. I think he really did add something. I think that as a sub, I think he's great. I'm, again, probably not sold on him yet to play a full game. I still think that Bailey Scott has been running really well on the wing. I think Curtis Taylor's also been playing really well. Darcy Tucker, we'll touch on, had a really, really great few weeks. And Eddie Ford kind of pushing up the ground as well. I think that the people that are in the role where Dylan Stephens would come in, I think they're all playing their role really well at the moment, and I wouldn't make changes to that structurally. I still think despite the loss, we avoid making too many structural changes where possible, and rather just try and get this group to really start performing as a 22 or a 23. But I actually really like him as the sub. I think he injects some pace. I think he offers us something. I don't know if, to be honest with you, I don't know if he's good enough to do it across 4 quarters. He wasn't at the start of the year. I don't have an issue giving him a shot for a 4-quarter game later on in the year. But right now, I feel like we are sort of a sniff, and we have sort of, obviously yesterday was a bit of a blip, but for the most part, we have been playing really, really good footy. So I think for now, I'm happy to keep him as the sub.
Yeah, I mean, I can back that as well. I think he probably, if I could fit him in the team, I think he probably deserves to play the full game. I would back him over a 4-quarter performance, just because the way we're playing now, I think makes his game a lot better, because we're actually taking possession of the ball and finding open players. And I think we saw that in the last quarter. I mean, last week, 12 possessions in the last quarter was the most on the ground.
Yeah.
So
look, crazy.
I think for now, the sub, I don't really know who you'd take out. I mean, I would take Toby Pink out in a heartbeat and put him in personally. I just think we're too tall. That would be the change I would make, and then maybe put someone else to the sub. But I think in the sub role, he does look good at the moment. And if he can keep performing, get a few more touches, 4 touches, like I said, is not enough. But it's how he seems to be able to produce when he gets the ball. And if we can find a way to give him the ball more like last week and last quarter, I think he can he can produce, because, you know, I would trust him a lot more by foot than Bailey Scott. You know, we were kicking the ball out of bounds on the full heaps yesterday. Yeah,
like
what
weird.
are we like? These are AFL players. You know,
we also play at most of our games at Marvel, so it's a bit strange.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Like I said, not saying Dylan Stephens is the answer or anything, because I know people get upset when I mention Dylan Stephens, but I just think it does deserve to be pointed out that not enough touches, but he did have 2 pretty crucial score involvements in the last quarter, which got us to have that sniff in the last quarter, like he did the week before. So I just wanted to praise him for his effort, even though I think he can do more. And yeah, sub is probably right for now, but I would hope that they give him a shot in a full game.
Well, if he holds his spot as a sub and he can keep proving his worth,
well,
then
like
sure.
Eddie Ford did.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Yeah. Should we go to some voice memos?
Yes, absolutely. Voice messages, very exciting. We love the energy people are bringing.
We do.
It is very funny to see some regular contributors. We never know what they're going to bring each week. Do you reckon it's cool if I shout out a specific?
Go for it.
I just want to say, Jennifer sends in voice messages every single week.
I love Jen.
Now, the energy she would bring originally was quite flat, not in a bad way, but just a little bit somber because North were bad. And then when we fired up after the bye, she's really been bringing the heat, and I really like that. Jen, if you're listening, of course you are, please, I want as much of a roller coaster from your voice messages as possible, because we love them.
Thank you for coming on this journey with us,
Thank
Jen.
you, because she really epitomizes how we all feel internally, I think.
Agree.
But yeah, everyone else, thank you for contributing, and we love them. So we're going to throw to those now, and we'll be back to talk about Marnie's favourite player, Darcy Tucker.
Hey Josh, hey Marnie. Big X Christian helmet cherry. God, what a player he's become, man. Anyways, great effort from the lads today again. Go the mighty Roos.
I've sat through every game in the last few weeks, and I think this sums it up best.
Here we are, living in another week in a constant state of what the
Where's the win, guys? Where is it? Is it coming?
Well, Bulldogs, I hope you enjoy this win, because it's going to be the last one you're going to have against North for quite some time.
Unfortunately, I couldn't catch the game this week, but looking at the end result, it's clear that there's definitely a shift, because previous years we definitely would have gotten flogged by the Dogs. But man, if Paul bench press Curtis can kick those goals every week, we'll definitely win some games.
G'day, Josh and Marnie. Damo here from Brisbane. Not too bad. It still looks like we're past the bottom out and on the way up. But the frustrating thing is just that rebound out of a non-functioning forward line. That's the issue. The amount of scores that happen from just that weak entry, whether it's, I think it's leading patterns and running patterns from the forwards that are just causing it. But it's hard to know unless you're actually at the game, but can't wait to get to one. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, Nick here. I reckon that's another one that got away from us. Our back six were tremendous. Unfortunately, same can't be said about the blokes up the ground. Forward 50 entries were pretty poor, giving Nick Larkey no hope, leaving us vulnerable for a Western Bulldogs counter-attack, which in turn puts more pressure on our defensive unit. So even more credit to them for the pressure they had to withstand today. Could have easily conceded 25 goals. I want to pay particular credit to Chom and Arch for their efforts down back. On to the Gold Coast next week.
Anyone who says our defence is shit and needs help really need to watch a North game. Our defence was massive tonight. Our midfield needed to back them up more. And Sheasel, what can I say? The guy just doesn't stop. Eddie Ford should have had 4, but he can't do it alone. And once again, Larky needs help.
Tucker time.
Well, I was going to say thank you to everyone, Marnie, for the voice messages.
Sorry, I got excited. I got really excited.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Everyone who sent in their voice memos. As you know, we play them every single week on the show. If you would like to send yours in, furthernorthpod@gmail.com after the game. We love hearing from you guys and we love having you part of the show.
Yes. Now, there you go, Marnie. Tucker time.
Great.
Off you go.
He was really good yesterday.
Come on. No,
He's had a really, really good few weeks. And what I want to say about Darcy Tucker is he's not there to do the flashy stuff. He's not there to set the world on fire. Darcy Tucker is there to do the work to let the guys like LDU and Sheasel and Paul Curtis and Cam Zerha be the stars. Okay? And you need players in there just to play their role, to play them well and to be effective. And that is exactly what he's done. I, hand on heart, can say to you, in the first half of the season, I was really underwhelmed by him. Yeah. I was on the back of all the chat around Darcy Tucker in the off-season and how he had a monster pre-season. And I probably was a victim of getting A, sucked into that commentary and B, just wanting him to be good so badly that I was looking at his game and probably glossing over it and probably making it seem like it was actually better than it was, when in reality he had a pretty ordinary first half of the year and he was quite costly.
I think he was lucky to keep his spot a lot of weeks as well in the first half.
But we persisted with him and I think he's come out the other side and I think he's been great. And I said this last week and I'll say it again. The one thing I love about Darcy Tucker is he's fearless. He's really courageous. And given all of the stuff around concussion and free kicks, and there's so much murky water going around and sort of floating around the AFL at the moment, for him to just throw himself, and Eddie Ford does this too, just to throw himself at every contest and to go to hunt the ball and just be hungry for it. It's coming off in rewarding, and he's getting a lot of reward for effort. And I think that, like I said, he's doing the work and he's putting in the work and doing it well to allow the stars to be able to shine. Oh my God, the light just dropped. Oh my God.
The light got a little bit excited about Darcy Tucker. Sorry guys if you heard that in the background.
And if you watched it, our faces, my heart just actually dropped. Anyway, that is all I want to say about Darcy Tucker. I've been, the
light was like, Marnie, you got to stop toys. There's enough Darcy Tucker chat.
Okay, I know. Okay, I'm stopping now. But shout out Darcy Tucker. It's been an excellent few weeks.
Yes, no, Darcy Tucker was good. I think that to me is what I want. Like, bare minimum sort of seems harsh a little bit, but maybe not with the numbers and everything, but just the level of effort and not butchering the ball. Like, my biggest complaint about Darcy Tucker was always, he finds the ball fine and he can win the ball in a contest, but his disposal was bang average, like Bailey Scott's was at the start of the year as well. Yeah. Both those players seem to be a little bit better at that. And Darcy Tucker was quite good yesterday. So if he does anything around that, he'll play a lot of games for North Melbourne. He's only, mid to late 20s?
Yeah, I think he's like 26, 27.
Terrifying, me saying that he's going to play a lot of games for North Melbourne. But I
love this from you.
No, but only if he does that, I'll be the first to say, get him out of the team. I love a Bergman and a Riley Hardiman, and I think they're going to be, I would probably, want to integrate them into the team for the long-term thing. But if he's playing like that, I guess they can't. The thing I don't like is players like Darcy Tucker at the start of the year not getting dropped when they probably should, when you've got Bergmans and Hardimans and other guys like that not getting a shot who are probably more of our future. Yeah. But if he plays like that, he's got his spot in the team and we need a bigger body and
I was going to say, it's probably about balance as well. Like I think Darcy Tucker in terms of like his frame, like he's that big,
he's big,
big solid player, which we kind of lack, which we just spoke about. So I think, shout out Darcy Tucker.
Zach Fisher was probably the best player for us until he got subbed off, or one of, if
So
not the
frustrating.
best. You know, didn't he's sort of just doing what he's doing recently for the last
I've really,
month or so.
really enjoyed,
Yeah.
you know, Zach Fisher probably had a bit of a weird sort of first 8 rounds of the season.
Yeah.
But after that St Kilda game when I gave him a spray, he hasn't really put a
Well,
foot
some say
wrong
that's the difference, Marnie. The
ever
streaks
since
don't
then.
lie.
I really, really like him coming off half back, and I think him off half back has really has been one of the reasons why Sheasel's been able to move into the midfield this year, because he's now stepped up Fisher and he's kind of taken that role, and I've really loved what he's offer, and he pushes forward a little bit as well, and he kind of offers a link up in the chain as we're trying to transition the ball from one end of the ground to the other. I think he's been great. I think he's been great, and I think that it's probably fair to say he's probably been our recruit of the year at this stage.
Not many to pick from, but yeah.
No, but even, I mean, we've seen quite a few new faces this year, and I would probably put the draftees in. I mean, it's unfortunate McKercher's obviously gone down with an
McKercher
injury.
probably the one, but I get what you mean. Fisher's been fantastic. I mean, Fisher stepping up and doing what he's been doing without McKercher has been incredibly important as well. Not having to throw Sheasel back off halfback and allowing him to be doing what he's doing. So, I agree. Fisher's been great. What did you think of Jackson Archer's game?
Wait, before we dive deeper in, actually no,
my mistake.
We can come. We'll finish with Tristan Cherry. We will. Okay, great.
Don't worry,
Jackson
guys.
Archer.
Tristan Jerry chat is coming.
It's coming. It's your favourite part of the pod. Arch was great again. I think that he's really standing his own. His hands are fantastic.
Clean.
Really, really clean. Again, another one who's really fearless, and it comes with the name, obviously.
Yeah. He knows if he doesn't perform in a contest, he's going to go home to Glenn. He's going to get a smack, I reckon.
The hard thing for Arch yesterday, and I really enjoy watching Cody Weightman play football, but man, he just ducks all the time, and he plays for free kicks, and he
100%.
always has, and he kicked 6 on us last year, and I think 5 of them came from free kicks. And unfortunately, you know, the umpires, they didn't get sucked in a hell of a lot yesterday, but they did get sucked in a few times. That free kick against Glenn Archer, that free kick against Jacko.
You're welcome, Jacko.
For bullshit.
Yeah, it was awful, wasn't it? And Clarkson even brought it up in the press conference afterwards. And you know, Clarkson knows he's got to chill and not say much. But he did it in the right way. And if anyone says anything about Clarkson in that press conference, it's just a bias. But if the coach is bringing up little things like that in the press conference when they know they shouldn't be, which is ridiculous, they should be able to say what they want. But you know it's bad. And Weightman, once again, if he was on our team, we need a Cody Weightman so bad.
100%.
But he's such a grub.
Pest.
But it's also, I want him to be our pest, or like what Lindsay Thomas was for us. Everybody else hated him, but we loved how much everyone hated him. Bobby Hill's not the most likable player, but it's because he just finds ways to get under people's skin.
Jack Ginnivan is another one.
Yeah, 100%. Hawthorn's going to have the most unlikable forward line in a couple of years with Nick Watson and Ginnivan up there.
But if they were your players, you'd absolutely wrap your arms around them and celebrate them.
Yeah, and I think Paul Curtis got a bit of that about him, to be honest. I mean, he can be a bit unsociable sometimes.
Yeah,
but
Bull's
we
probably
need,
the same.
Yeah, 100%. But I think Jackson had another solid game. I mean, Weightman, compared to what he's done in recent years, was relatively quiet. Yeah. So if we're measuring it off last year's stick, I mean, he was fantastic. Yeah. I don't think he was as good as last week. Obviously, you can barely top what he did last week for a defender. For sure. But obviously a lot better than the Collingwood game. So another solid outing from Jacko, and I think he's solidified his place.
Well, continuity is going to be key for him. I just think the more we play him, the better I'll get. And he's looking really good.
Yeah, I don't think it's any coincidence our defence looks a lot more solid. And I thought they looked they looked shaky in patches yesterday. One thing I was going to point out quickly before I go on another point, we got smashed where they took away our marking game yesterday, 81 to 112 marks. Mm-hmm. And I think when teams do that, that means the plays open more and it comes into our back line a lot quicker, and that's when we can look exposed. Yeah. And that's when guys like a Weightman can get off the chain a little bit. I don't know. I think Archer, I don't think it's a coincidence our defence looks better this year than I think it did last year with a guy who can lock up a player like that. Yeah. And having a guy that I'm like, we don't have to throw a Luke McDonald to him. We can put Jackson Archer down there. Mm-hmm. Makes me feel a lot more comfortable.
I agree. And I just want to say on the back line as a whole before we talk about the key defenders, that second quarter performance from our back 6 was probably one of the best performances I've seen all year.
Because we got peppered a little bit.
the way they held up, everything was thrown at them. We actually didn't score in that second quarter as well. So the most of the game was played in the Dogs attacking half, and the way our backline stood up and just weathered the storm. The fact that we didn't, let a bigger score pile on was really, really impressive. So
you can trust this team more now.
I think so. And I think it was hard. The ball was coming in there at quite a frenetic pace yesterday, but when our midfield stands up and when our midfield offers support to our backline, we look so solid and we look so strong. And for something that going into this season, and we've said this quite a few times this year, going into this season, our backline was the one area where we don't know what, we're petrified.
It's almost the most reliable part of the team.
100%.
The midfield's either the best or the worst.
Yeah.
But the defense, I think, out of every week is at least a 7 out of 10. 100%. To be honest. So.
100%.
Yeah. Key defenders. Let's talk about Charlie Comben.
He was unbelievable.
We love Charlie Comben.
We do. And we say that every week.
He's
you
just
guys
gone
know.
from strength to strength as a defender.
Yeah.
And look, moving Chom forward, keeping him back, who knows the answers to that? When Griffin Logue comes back in, I mean, he's got to earn his place back as well, and he's not going to get it over Charlie Comben. I almost think at this point now, like a couple of weeks ago, we were all sort of saying, if Logue comes back, maybe Chom goes forward. He's playing too well as a defender.
I agree.
To move him. We have to build our defense around him, and we find another forward because he is so good. He's got to be one of the best intercepting defenders in the league. I don't know the numbers, but we know Mackay is good. We know Darcy Moore, Lever, those sort of guys. I think he got 12 intercept possessions yesterday and was just the most solid thing in that back line. Continuous effort, bringing the ball to ground, 21 disposals as well with really good efficiency. Like the thing with Mackay last year was Mackay's a great intercept mark and is a good defender, but can't kick to save his life.
Yeah.
And Charlie Comben brings that it just makes me more comfortable. When he's got the ball and he's kicking out, I don't think it's going to go out of bounds on the full.
It's so interesting, right? Because obviously, and I don't really buy into the whole Mackay bashing. I think Ben Mackay is a great player.
Ben Mackay's a good player.
And I think he was a big loss to us in the off-season. But if you don't want to be here, you don't want to be here. Like, what can you do? Charlie Comben wants to be here.
Yeah.
He signed a contract extension during the week, and that is just incredible news for both him and for the team as a whole, supporters and the club alike. He wants to be here, and the way he's just changed his game in a season of football, it's almost like he's better than Mackay.
I don't disagree with that. I said at the barbershop yesterday that I think Charlie Comben has literally just replaced Mackay, but with better kicking.
Yeah.
And he might be better than him. And everyone laughed, but I'm like, I know you guys don't watch the games.
Yeah.
I watch more Essendon than anyone else would watch North Melbourne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And anyone who's not watching, if you watch the games, he's just as good, if not better.
He has
than
an
Mackay
incredible impact, and he plays every bit of play, his heart and soul, body on the line. That's just the kind of guy that he is, and that's how much the club means to him. And he's someone that wants to repay the faith of the club for standing strong with him through all the injuries he's had in the first few years of his career. So we say this just about every week. Could not be prouder of him and the way he has been able to step up this season and just make this new role his own. Because not only is it benefiting him personally, but it's having an incredible ripple effect across our defence and the rest of the side.
I can only imagine how terrifying it would be to watch this defence if Charlie Comben wasn't there. I think he's the most consistent thing down there, and I don't want to toot my own horn, Marnie. Kind of do. But in the live show, I did say that by the end of the year, he will be our best defender. And he has every attribute you need to be a great key defender.
100%.
Even Chom sort of said, settle down, mate. And I said, no, Charlie, you're the best defender in the league.
He's well, that's probably a stretch, but he's definitely.
I know.
But he's
All right, Marnie, come on. I have one chance to be delusional like you on this podcast, and you shut me down. It's the first time I've done it. Now I'm going to go back into my shell, and you have to wait till next season for me to have a delusional take.
Nah, give it like a week, and I'll get something out of you.
It's true.
Anyway, look, what more can we say about Chom that we haven't said over the course of this year on this show? Just another outstanding performance.
Your man, Aiden Core. Let's have a quick chat about Aiden Core. Now, not his best game yesterday.
Nah, he was so poor yesterday.
2 free kicks that led to goals once again. We know my thoughts on Aiden Core. You're a lot higher than me on Aiden Core. I think Aiden Core's been good.
Yeah.
I think he's had some really, really good games this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a candidate to be dropped or anything like that. But I guess as a leader of the football club, he's given away a lot of free kicks in front of goal sort of the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's got to stop. That was soft. Don't get me wrong. That was soft as hell. Like Cody Weightman again, I think it was, wasn't it? That he sort of pushed him in the chest and he just dropped straight to the ground.
Yeah.
That's soft, but you've got to be better than that. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He's our leader in defence with McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the best example to be set. To me, watching the games, there's a little bit of, when players maybe aren't quite at the level and they use a bit of like I think Maynard's a bit like that. Like I think Maynard's a fine footballer, but I think because he's angry and pushes people around a bit, it makes him maybe seem a bit better than he is.
Yeah.
I think Aiden Core recently has had a little bit of that about him. I don't think he's been bad, but I think I look at it and I'm like, why are you doing that, mate? Why are you? If Charlie Common goes up and like pushes someone, I'm like, get at him, chum. You're playing your role. But when Core's having like a game like that, I just don't like seeing him try to put in the bully tactics.
He was rubbish yesterday. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. He wasn't good enough yesterday. And I agree with you as a leader of the football club. I do think it is important to play with a bit of edge and a bit of aggression and show that it means something to you.
Channel it the right way though.
100%. And I think he's probably, like I kind of see it as he probably got frustrated because he was getting beaten yesterday.
Who did he play on?
He played on Norton, and Norton didn't really have an impact on the game. But I kind of feel like the defence yesterday, everyone was sort of shuffling around a little bit because there was a couple
There's
of
so
times.
many calls there though. How do you know?
Yeah, I mean, Jamara Ugle-Hagan took a mark on the goal line, which ended up actually being an umpire's call, and they've called it a behind, but Aiden Core was on him at the time. He got caught out. So I think he probably just took out his frustrations in the wrong way, and he's got to be better than that. I think he's had he hasn't really put a foot wrong since the St Kilda game. This was definitely a big step down for him.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that he needs to be better, and I think he will be better. I also wonder, and we've spoken about this a few times on the show as well, Callan Dawson was back yesterday, and we'll talk about Callan Dawson, but I wonder if that disrupted his personal game as well. And I'm not making excuses for him.
He's looked good with all those guys there though.
Yeah, I'm not making excuses for him. I think he was rubbish yesterday, and he really needs to take ownership that his performance wasn't good enough and that he did cost us quite badly. But he also gave us two of the best sidesteps you'll ever see.
Well,
so
look,
I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
I think it is funny, like when the game comes down to 3 goals and he gives away 2 like that. I mean, you can look at so many things like that in the game. I understand that, but they're ones that shouldn't have happened.
No, exactly.
And you go back to other things like he gave like falling into people's backs so blatantly against the Pies, and it comes down to a point and things like that. Just as a leader, I think you've got to be smarter than that. And I agree with you. I think he'll watch the game back and be like, what am I doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd nearly back him to be, he's the Kingslayer. We know that. We've made that joke on the podcast before. I think it was which one's Max and which one's Ben? Ben's the Gold Coast one, right? Yeah. So he shut down Max. He didn't quite shut down Ben. Redemption time.
It is redemption time. I'm ready.
I'll tentatively back Aiden Core in to stop Ben King next week.
Can't wait.
But he needs a bounce back game after that one.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Anything else from the defence you'd like to talk about?
Just shout out Callan Dawson. He obviously was back from suspension this week. He was great. He also hasn't really put a foot wrong this season when he has. We've obviously missed him through injury, and we missed him last week through suspension. But he's somebody that I said, he came in through the mid-season draft, and I sort of said that just give him, he didn't really look out of place when he did play up until the start of this year. He played 4 or 5 games before the start of this year.
Yeah.
And he looked great, didn't look out of place. So for him to kind of seamlessly slot himself into the back line, excellent. So I just wanted to give him a shout out as well.
Yeah. I don't know what to really think about Callan Dawson in that game. I was like, he was good. He wasn't bad at all. But I don't know. I kind of feel like, those games that players have that they're really solid, but you look at it and you're like, oh, I don't really know.
Sorry, guys, just dying over here.
He's just dying. I don't really know I can't remember any Callan Dawson moments from that game, but he wasn't bad. I don't think he was amazing. It was just it's like Jai Simpkins' game against the Deans.
Under the radar, just seamlessly slotted in there.
Yeah, you look at the stats, you're like, Jai Simpkins had 25 touches that game.
Crazy.
I didn't know he was on the field. And I think Callan Dawson sort of had that sort of game for me. I didn't really see him do anything, but also I didn't see him do anything bad.
No, he didn't.
So, yeah, really solid. I like Callan Dawson. I was a little bit skeptical. I don't think that was, I think that was fair enough at the start of the
Well,
year.
he was just so untested, so no
Yeah.
one really knew what to expect, I don't think.
But I think he solidified his spot as a defender to play every single week, and there's not really anyone pushing down the door. I guess when Griff is back, it might be a conversation if he underperforms, because I think he's going to be the first one to go out.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but it's a hard thing to have. But like we talked about with the midfield before, with a Powell, if we draft or recruit someone, I'd rather have options of and being upset that the
100%.
player is dropped than being like, oh God, we've got to bring Jack Marnie.
It just means
into the
we're
team. Sorry.
Whoa. It just means
Sorry,
we're
Flynn
getting
Perez.
better.
My
Getting
mistake.
better. Phoenix Spicer.
Wow.
While we're at it. Tristan Sherry.
Let's talk about Tristan Jerry. I like Tristan Jerry.
I know. You actually said you loved him
did.
on the podcast.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we should go on with that instead.
Are you excited to do the Tristan Jerry dress-up game?
I am. I'm so excited. For those who don't know, we're doing a Tristan Cherry helmet tribute game, round 21
I like it, tribute game, yeah.
against Richmond. We will fill you in with all the details over your socials and closer to the time as well. I mean, again, another incredible performance. And I think yesterday's performance, he had 20 touches, he had 6 tackles, he, took a couple good marks, he took a really great mark up forward as well. He's now kicking goals.
Better marking. And this is the thing I called from him. I think that game was good around the ground from Tristan Jerry. I don't think he dominated in the ruck. When you look at our clearances, I like hit outs. Personally, I don't completely disregard hit outs, but a lot of the time they don't lead to direct clearances and things like that.
Yeah.
Some of them do, and we know what Goldstein was capable of with his direct hit out.
Yeah.
Jerry's not on that level, but I don't think he necessarily dominated the ruck battle, but around the ground, I think he was really, really good. And if he can do that while having those dominant ruck games as well, he's going to be a very, very, very good ruckman, which once again still blows my mind that we're even at this position in Tristan Jerry's
And
career.
I think
good on him. Good on him.
We touched on Bryn Teakle earlier, but Bryn Teakle, another solid performance. I really like as well what he offers around the ground and as a backup to Sherry. He just looks like he is the perfect fit for us at the moment. Yep. And I mean, that is the benefit of, drafting someone in the mid-season draft who's had, AFL experience, albeit a limited amount of AFL
Body size
experience.
is there, 24 years old.
Yeah, he's a bit older, a bit more mature. And ruckmen do tend to take a little bit longer to develop anyway. So I really am enjoying the two of them as a 1-2 punch. It didn't work with Goldstein and Sherry last year.
Because they're both quite slow and unagile, but I think Teakle's a lot more agile.
Very agile.
Yeah, even though look, he's not
and more athletic.
Yeah, exactly. Like what he did on the against the D's last week when he was on the ground and got that little handball to Zerha, then went to LDU for the open
Just
goal.
little things.
I just don't think many ruckmen in the league would be able to do that.
Yeah.
He's almost. I'm not saying he's going to be agile like a Brody Grundy or anything like that, but he's got a little bit of that about him. Where if he had a couple of possessions yesterday where he had to pick a dribbling ball up off the ground and he still did it fairly well for a guy who's over 200 centimeters. So yeah, I think them as a ruck combination is pretty sweet, and I think we were all worried first half of the year that if Tristan Sherry gets injured, what do we do? Now Bryn Teakle's there. I think that's our ruck combination for the foreseeable future. I did say on the preview pod that I think if we recruited someone to upgrade on a Teakle, I think that would be good for us. Maybe someone who can just do a little bit more. And I did shout out Rory Lobb for that. I didn't know his age at the time. I've been told he's like nearly 30 years old, so maybe not on the timeline. My mistake for that. But that archetype of player would be perfect for it, I think. But if Teakle can grow into that, he's only 24. If he can step up again, yeah, we might have our ruck combination for the next few years.
Callan Coleman-Jones will be shaking in his boots.
100%.
Because he's had an opportunity. I know he's injured. He's had an opportunity, a few opportunities over the last couple of seasons to really make something of himself, and he hasn't really been able to do that. So to look at Teakle and just to see, look, I mean, he hasn't been an all-dominating, all-conquering force, but he's playing his role, and it's important to have players like that so Sherry can dominate in the ruck, and we can, I think bringing Teakle in allows Sherry to have a bit of a rest and to, go again. So it's working really well for me, and I'm really, really enjoying Sherry's game.
Speaking of Tristan Jerry, Sean Atley Club Champ votes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've written down on here maybe the order we didn't decide, but I think, are we going to go with Common 3, Jerry 2, Tucker 1, or do we go Jerry 3?
So I said Sherry 3, Comben 2 and Tucker 1. The main reason being is that despite the fact that Charlie was sensational, I mean, we still lost the game and it was a pretty ugly game to watch.
Yeah.
And I think that Sherry was our best player on the ground, but I don't mind.
I had Comben, Jerry, and I put Sheasel as 1, and Tucker stiff to miss out because Tucker was very good. My argument for Comben being 3 would be if he's not there, we lose by 100 points yesterday, I think.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
I think Jerry was really, really good, but I don't think he maybe had the dominance that Chom maybe did down there. But I love Charlie Comben, so maybe I'm a little bit biased.
I think you are biased, but that's okay.
Hell yeah, I am.
You can make the call.
All right, Comben gets 3. All right, Marnie, you've twisted my arm.
It's fine. I got Darcy Tucker in there.
You did.
It's
get
all
Darcy
about
Tucker.
compromise, guys.
Yes,
you know,
a healthy relationship is compromise.
100%.
If we can do it, you guys can do it too.
You definitely can.
Okay, Comben 3, Jerry 2, Tucker 1.
Yes, great.
Okay, I'm so excited to see everyone message me and say that's wrong. So thanks,
but Darcy Tucker in there, it can't possibly be wrong.
You're totally right.
Anyway.
Now, the segment we forgot last week.
We're so
Marnie,
sorry, guys.
And we didn't know that it meant this much to you guys.
Yeah, we're chuffed that it's taking off.
After 1 week, the golden helmet was heavily requested again, which we stupidly forgot.
It won't happen again, guys. We're so sorry.
Again. I can't believe the amount of comments and messages I got saying, where was the golden helmet?
It's back and better than ever.
It's shinier than ever, the golden helmet, more carrots than it had before. The golden helmet, I think what it was just the highlight play or the best player of the game.
And there were definitely a couple of contenders.
Give us some contenders, man.
So Eddie Ford's near mark of the year. That was so exciting. I got up out of my seat. That rumor has it he's still on his way back down from
he's
the
caught in
roof.
a gravitational pull up there.
And obviously Aiden Cause, 2 beautiful selling of the candy. I tweeted during the game yesterday that we should nickname Aiden Core Willy Wonka with the amount of candy that he sells.
Oh my God. I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
That's good.
I like it too. I'm okay. Photoshop will be activated. If anyone can Photoshop.
Cause Candy Shop.
Oh my God.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good.
If anyone can Photoshop Aiden Core with the Willy Wonka hat and hair and put him in a candy shop.
Please send it to me.
We will put that up on the podcast and we'll shout you out and we'll give you, who knows, we'll give you a high five at a game.
Cause Candy Shop.
Cause Candy Shop.
Okay, I will buy that person an Aiden Core badge.
All right, okay, done. Whoever Photoshops Aiden Core with Willy Wonka's hat and hair in a candy shop saying Cause Candy Shop, Marnie will buy you a badge and we'll get it
at
to
the
you.
next game.
We'll meet you at the game.
Yeah, and I'll buy it for you at the game. Done.
Yeah, okay.
The more Aiden Core badges out there, the better.
I'm so excited to see the inbox flooded. Maybe next episode.
Hopefully we have people options to choose from.
Yeah, we can vote on the best one. We'll show all of them.
Yeah.
We'll show all of them. I'll post them all up in a reel or something like that and we can vote for the best one. Or we can give it to you guys to vote for the best one.
I never thought I'd see the day we'd be having a segment dedicated to Aiden Core on this podcast, but hey, stranger things have happened.
Wow.
No, the play of the day, you can't go past Paul Curtis's incredible goal in the first quarter from the boundary. That thing it was perfect. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was beautiful.
It was. It was very, very exciting.
It was
too.
the cherry on top of what it was an excellent first quarter from Paul Curtis. So that is our golden helmet moment of the game yesterday.
Absolutely. And I'm glad golden helmet's back, Marnie, because I was getting worried.
I'm happy. I did miss it last week. I felt a bit empty.
I felt empty inside and I was like, what's missing? And I searched my soul for days thinking, what is this void in my heart?
Thanks
and it was
to all the
helmet.
listeners for reminding us it was the golden helmet. We won't leave it off again.
Thank you for keeping us honest.
Let's just talk one more time about Charlie Comben re-signing a contract extension.
Oh, yes.
So Charlie, who is contracted until the end of next season, signed on for an extra 2 years. So he'll be with us
3 more years
till at least the end of 2027. Ooh. If, more players came out and were as honest with as he is, and he is the player of the people, and I think that's why that's why people love him so much. He's honest. You can tell
he represents
how much
us well and our feelings well.
Yeah, and you could tell how much the club really means to him, and so for him to repay the faith in the club that's paid, a lot of faith and time and patience with him has been it was the best news. I'm so happy for us and I'm so happy for him as well. So 3 more years of our guy, Charlie
3 more
Comben.
years of excellence and greatness, to be honest. And I did message him and say, mate, why wasn't it 7 years? So I wasn't happy with him, to be honest. I said, mate, you could tack an extra 4 or 5 onto that, to be fair. But he said next contract, we'll get 7. So
can't wait.
Look, fantastic for Chum. He's the nicest guy. He's a star on the field and definitely a player we build our future around.
100%.
And to have someone who's that good but that humble and nice of a guy, I think is a rare combination these days. And I love Charlie Comben so much, Marnie.
I love him too.
Okay, before I start blushing, LDU made some comments saying he wants to stay at North Melbourne.
Very, very exciting news. I just really hope that, he's talked the talk, so now he's got to walk the walk, and I hope there is a fresh contract coming. I don't know if it will be this season. I really would love it to be before the end of the year, considering we obviously had quite a few great signings across the season already. I think it would just give fans real confidence moving into
it's not
next
good
season.
for the club to let that linger as well. But the thing I wanted to shout LDU out for, and look, I know he hasn't signed yet and we never know, but the thing I wanted to shout him out for was coming out early and making his intent. He didn't flat out say, I'm signing here, but in a very political way sort of did hint at that and saying he wants to be here, hopes something can get done, which is as good as an endorsement these days as you'll get.
I think so.
Shout out to him 18 months out with the fan base and him talking about it being a family club and the connection to the fans and everything like that. Shout out to him for doing that because I would hope that he did that thinking that it's not good for a smaller club with all the buzz and the stir around him.
Yeah.
He's been the most talked about free agent this year and he's not even a free agent this year. You know, that's how good he is. So, shout out to him for flattening the rumours a little bit or like just subsiding them a little bit early because I think it's really good for the fan base and something we really, really needed. That to me shows he cares about us and at least thinks about the fans in this thing. So
I think so too.
Nothing's signed, nothing's sealed, nothing's done, but it's a good step on the way to getting him to stay at North Melbourne
100%.
for a lot longer. So.
I just think now we just need to find a way to refine the form that we had over the last few weeks and be able to bring that sort of energy every week until the end of the season. I think that's really going to help us be able to retain him and potentially Bull as well, which, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's about it.
That's it. We play the Suns next Saturday afternoon at Marvel Stadium, 1:45. The football is the secondary thing to that day.
Is it Jack Marnie Day?
It's not Jack Marnie Day.
Oh,
it's Marnie Day.
Oh, my second favourite Marnie. It's her birthday celebration. I'm joking.
It is. It's my birthday next Saturday, the 6th of July. Can you
change your first name to spell it the same as Jack Marnie's first name?
No, I don't want to do that. Okay. I would rather not have more association with Jack Marnie than I already do.
Tell that to admin too. He's got a Marnie badge.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Look, I still have Jasper Pittard badge, so I can't really talk.
I'll just say a Jack Marnie badge is a lot worse than a Jasper Pittard badge. Jasper Pittard at least had played football. You know what I mean?
Pittard left the club 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but he at least contributed and played some good games for us. Like Jack Marnie just did his shoulder a couple of times and then got delisted.
Yeah.
Still
Poor
a player.
Jack Marnie.
Look, I don't want to trash players. He's much more successful than me. Maybe not his specific occupation, but just in life financially. I don't know what anyone ever saw in Jack Marnie.
No, me either.
Wasn't fast, wasn't tall, wasn't strong, didn't kick goals, but played in the forward pocket.
Okay,
anyway,
can we stop talking about him? Talk about me.
Okay, let's talk about you instead. Sorry, mate. I know.
For those who are coming to the game next Saturday, we're having a birthday party for my birthday. I'm not going to say what age. It's a big one though, so we're very, very excited.
What's the first number of the overall age?
3.
Oh God!
It's my 30th birthday next Saturday afternoon.
Whoa.
We're celebrating at the footy. So for those who can come down, please come down and say hi and have a drink with us and have a bit of a party, and hopefully we'll be celebrating more than just my birthday. Hopefully we'll top it off with a victory as well. So we will see you guys there. You can stay up to date with us during the week across socials. We are Further North Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and YouTube. Hi YouTube if you're watching.
Hi YouTube.
Thank you again for everyone who sent in their voice memos, furthernorthpod@gmail.com. You can also send your Aiden Core candy shop pictures to the email address. We will go through them during the week and hopefully pick out a winner. And
Send them anywhere, to be honest. We can get the photos off Facebook or Instagram as well.
And I will be buying the best artist an
Yes.
Aiden Core badge at the game next
I
Saturday.
think artiste is the word. Marnie.
Artiste.
It's an industry term.
Artiste. Yes, I wouldn't know.
Everyone bring Marnie big presents on the weekend. I want wrapped up presents with a bow. We can all give her presents at the game.
Hugs will
She'll be
do.
walking around with a Sweet 16 badge. And sash, sorry, my mistake,
I'll have
wrapped
it all.
around her. And if you don't bring her a present that is at least 1 metre by 1 metre, she won't bother opening it. So,
Jack Marnie in a box.
wow, he'd fit in that box. He's tiny. Maybe you have to dislocate his shoulder again to fit him in, but that's fine.
He's probably already done it.
Okay. Outside the game, just chicken winging himself.
We're done. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, we'll see you next Saturday afternoon and be back with you in your ears after that.
Okay, see you guys. Jack Marnie for life.
Bye.